The grand hall of the Galactic Council shimmered with artificial starlight, its crystalline dome refracting the light of 3 suns. Delegates from 100 worlds sat perched on floating thrones or reclined on plasma-bound seats. All eyes were turned to the center dais where the newest species, humans, stood awkwardly in ceremonial uniforms that still bore desert dust. Staff Sergeant Elena Rourke hated ceremonies. Her hands remained at her sides, fingers still twitching from instinct, not nerves. She'd spent the past 6 months training in Earth's ghost terrain simulations. The rifles she and her team had carried on their backs now sat locked in diplomatic vaults. They'd come unarmed, by request. Or rather, by requirement. Galactic Council drills, they were told, were safe, peaceful, performative. Rourke almost laughed at that word, performative. Introducing the representatives of Terra. The Vernari announcer's voice rang out, too nasal, too amused. Their planetary designation, Class CA1. Their species marker, Homo sapiens sapiens. Their specialty, improvisation. Scattered chuckles fluttered through the chamber like flies over a corpse. Several species couldn't smile, but their equivalent gestures rippled across the seats, antennae bobbing, eye membranes blinking out of sync, frills fluttering like laughter. Elena's jaw tightened. She kept her eyes forward. Behind her stood her 4-person sniper team, clad in gray uniforms tailored to look non-threatening. Not one of them flinched. High Commander Tsar Valen of the Urvax Legion leaned forward on his polished obsidian chair. He was massive, armored in ceremonial spines and thick crimson cloth. His voice cut across the noise like a blade. Improvisation, he echoed, eyes narrowing. A poetic term for chaos. More laughter. Rourke recognized the tone. She'd heard it in Earth's early diplomacy meetings, in every council dispatch, condescension lacquered with civility. Ambassador Quill from Earth stepped forward, a career diplomat with perfect poise and no spine. Our observers, he began, gesturing back to Elena's team, are not combatants today. They're here merely to monitor, learn, and document council strategy. Valen's response was immediate. Then perhaps they will learn how true precision operates. Not improvisation. Torres, Rourke's second-in-command, muttered under his breath behind her. We're ghosts in a circus. Rourke didn't reply. She was too focused on Valen's posture. His disdain was honest. That made him dangerous. The assembly droned on, talks of coordination, battlefield rules, and mandatory war games designed more for spectacle than skill. Species after species pledged their units. The growl issued thunderous roars, claiming their beast masters would dominate the war table. The collections displayed their neural sync matches through shimmering projection. When Earth's turn came, Ambassador Quill hesitated before speaking. Elena Rourke, leader of Earth's Recon Observation Team. Call sign Black Needle. Valen snorted. Needles? More like splinters. This time, the laughter hit harder. Some of the seats actually rotated away as if turning from something distasteful. Rourke stepped forward at last. Her boots echoed against the crystalline floor. She said nothing. Didn't smile. Just met Valen's gaze with the look of a woman who had counted heartbeats in the dark before pulling a trigger. The silence stretched. Finally she spoke. Needles go unnoticed. Until they're under your skin. Valen's smile froze. The chamber dimmed as preparations for the war games commenced. Delegations began to exit, headed for orbital command ships or briefing domes. Earth's diplomatic group peeled away with hushed urgency. Rourke remained still. Torres leaned in behind her. How long before they assign us a janitor role? Already done, she replied. They've slotted us as passive field monitors. Monitors, he repeated, scoffing. So we watch while they strut? No. Rourke's eyes followed Valen's retreating figure. We watch where they're blind. 2 hours later, in the temporary barracks aboard the human diplomatic cruiser, Rourke and her team sat around a low metal table. The room hummed with silent tension, the kind born not of fear but boredom sharpening into anticipation. Reed, the team's spotter, spoke first. Didn't even get through a full intro before they laughed. They always laugh, said Saito, their tech specialist. They laughed when we used bullet slugs instead of plasma. They laughed when we trained in fog and dust instead of simholos. They laughed, Rourke interrupted. Right before Velan 4. Silence. The name landed like stone in a well. That mission. A council-led peacekeeping effort turned disaster. Her brother had been one of the Earth medics caught in the crossfire. Medics the Yervacs, accidentally, left exposed during a fallback. They think we're fragile, she said finally. But they never ask why we're so precise. Why we don't waste ammo. Why we plan for extraction the moment we insert. Reed tilted his head. So what's the plan? Let them clown us until this circus ends? Rourke opened a secured case at her feet. Inside, blueprints of the war game terrain, unencrypted council schedules, and Earth's real asset, old-school recon maps marked with hand-drawn coordinates. We're not here to perform, she said. We're here to document. Torres smiled. And by document you mean? Track, analyze, infiltrate, assess vulnerabilities, she finished. Officially, we observe. Off the record? Reed grinned. Black Needle watches. And waits. Saito flicked a switch on his tablet, and the room dimmed. A hologram bloomed. Terrain, troop movements, council blind spots. Their theater of operation. Rourke pointed to a narrow canyon where 3 council units were expected to pass during a simulated patrol. Our ghosts will walk there first. Torres raised his mug. To the monkeys with rifles. Rourke met his toast. To the council who thinks clumsiness means weakness. And somewhere far above them, in the void of space, the game began. The canyon was dead quiet, the kind of quiet that gnawed on nerves and made trained soldiers twitch. Above, the twin moons of Archelaus Prime cast jagged shadows across the rocks. The light refracted strangely off the mineral-rich soil, painting the world in sickly reds and bruised purples. It was the perfect kind of terrain, open enough to be daring, deceptive enough to reward the patient. Elena Rourke lay prone on a ridge 40 meters above the canyon floor, her scope already calibrated. Below, a patrol of 6 Growl warriors stomped their way through the wadi, armor glowing faintly with prideful bravado. Noise echoed with each footfall, a careless rhythm of assumed dominance. $5 says they never even look up, muttered Torres through the comms. You're always broke because you bet on idiots, replied Reed from a nearby outcrop. He was their overwatch, covering the opposite slope with a long-barreled M99. Sato's voice came in low and dry from a hidden pit in the western flank. Telemetry confirmed. Pattern consistent. They pass here every 37 minutes like clockwork. Rourke adjusted her cheek against the stock. So predictable it's offensive. This wasn't a battlefield. Not yet. This was a lab, and the council forces were unwitting subjects. Earth's role was to observe and record performance, but the team had interpreted that creatively. Observation, after all, didn't mean idleness. Rourke had already mapped 12 different timing errors in patrol rotations and 6 weaknesses in their perimeter defense software. Council troops looked impressive, no doubt. But their confidence came from ceremony, not adaptation. Eyes on the Yervac scouts, Saito whispered. A pair of cloaked figures broke the horizon opposite their position, easily missed by flashy units, but not by Black Needle. Rourke tapped twice on her comms mic. Marking targets Alpha and Beta. Observe. Reed's voice was laced with amusement. You going loud? No, she said. We're going invisible. She motioned with her fingers, a quick sequence Torres mirrored before vanishing into the rocks. The mission wasn't about kills. It was about placement, data, leverage. To let the galaxy believe you were insignificant, until you weren't. Torres reached the base of the ridge within 90 seconds. He moved like a shadow folded into the terrain, barely shifting dust. The Yervac scouts hadn't noticed. They were scanning high, not low. Always expecting enemies to come at them with force. Blunt tactics for blunt minds. Above, Rourke counted 3 seconds between each footstep. Predictable. Mechanical, she muttered. Exploitable, added Saito. Torres planted a short-range signal jammer the size of a cigarette but beneath an exposed root near their path. When activated, it would scramble comms and visuals within a 10-meter radius. Not enough to be noticed by Central Command, but enough to blind these scouts at the worst possible moment. Devices set, Torres confirmed. Returning to nest. Copy. Rourke exhaled slowly. Her trigger finger never touched the metal. There was no need. Not yet. Back on the cruiser, Ambassador Quill was watching a sanitized version of the exercise unfold on the Council's public feed. The Earth unit remains passive, one of the alien observers noted, tone smug. As expected. Compliance is good, said a Vrenari tactician, nodding approvingly. They understand their limitations. Quill forced a smile, his hands clenched beneath the table. The next morning, Black Needle deployed again. This time to Sector Theta, an elevated terrain where Calcian drone units practiced mid-air interception drills. Rourke and Reed took positions along opposite cliffs while Saito deployed a passive tap on the central relay. 21 drones running identical flight patterns, Reed said. Like a flock of metal sheep. Sheep don't crash into each other mid-maneuver, Saito replied. Yet. Rourke scanned the relay's telemetry. The collections were using layered predictive algorithms to coordinate drone formations. Elegant on paper. Fragile in practice. She uploaded a ghost ping, a fake drone signature, into the relay, buried 3 layers deep beneath the active network. A Calcian drone, mid-barrel roll, adjusted course to avoid a phantom. Another adjusted to avoid that one. Chain reaction. 3 drones collided mid-air. A 4th spiraled down into a tree canopy. Oops, murmured Torres. Glitch in the sim, muttered a confused Calcian commander over the shared channel. Reboot all units. Black Needle remained silent. Rourke turned away from her scope. We're not here to kill. We're here to humiliate, quietly. That evening, Council chatter shifted. Commanders whispered of systems failing unexpectedly. Drills becoming erratic. Earth's presence was never mentioned, but unease crept in. Yervak's arrogance turned watchful. Calcian drones were grounded for maintenance review. In the war chamber, Valen paced. Coincidence, one of his aides said. Random software failures. No, Valen growled. Pattern. Ghosts. He slammed his fist against the console, scrolling through heat map records. Earth's positions were always near incidents, always close, always clean. Where there's stillness, he muttered, there's a rifle. Night fell hard on the valley. Rourke and her team returned to their ship under blackout protocols. No lights. No chatter. Just the low rumble of disciplined breath. Inside the debrief chamber, Saito placed a single image on the central display. It was a screenshot of a council patrol passing within 5 meters of a hidden Earth nest, none the wiser. They never even looked up, Torres said. Rourke stared at the image for a long second. They never will, she said. Until the day we pull the trigger. The sun rose cold and colorless over the Stone Vale Plateau. No birds. No wind. Just sharp edges of rocks slicing through morning mist. High above, 3 Earth snipers lay still against slate-gray stone, wrapped in adaptive cloaks keyed to match the terrain. Beneath them, war unfolded with choreography better suited to parades than battle. Council forces had gathered for their final drill, a mock offensive across open ground designed to show force. A ridiculous display of mass coordination, banners, and unit pride. Rourke watched from the northern ridge, her rifle balanced on a tripod, breath controlled. Not a twitch. 100 meters to her right, Torres adjusted his scope. 14 officers. 3 tacticals. All out in the open. They think visibility is dominance. Saito replied over the comms, positioned with Reed at a fallback nest. It's a spotlight. Then let's kill the lights, Rourke said. Their targets weren't random. Every name had a history, each one connected to policies that had cost human lives, each a figurehead of council arrogance. First, Commander Yeltrin of the Growl led the charge in Valon 4. Celebrated the pacification despite civilian deaths. Second, Strategist Vurex of the Collections approved jamming tech that failed during a joint rescue op, causing a cascade failure that cost Earth an entire medevac unit. Third, Advisor Korn, Council aide who blocked Earth's protest motion after the slaughter. None of them would die today. Not directly. But their authority would bleed. Check wind. 0.8 southeast. Minimal drift, Torres replied. Range to target? 212 meters. Elevation drop 7. Confirm shot timing. All stations ready. Saito echoed. Rourke exhaled. On my count. The Earth rifles were ancient by galactic standards. No plasma, no targeting AI. They were mechanical, silent, untraceable. That was the point. 3, 2, 1. Crack. 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 3 sound-suppressed shots echoed like distant thunder. By the time the council officers reacted, it was already done. One officer slumped over his console mid-command. Another reeled back, helmet visor spiderwebbed with cracks. The third spun and dropped as if tripped, a neat hole in his shoulder. All non-lethal. All surgical. But the message was ironclad. The panic hit fast. Under attack! Came the shriek from the Growl lines. From where? Shouted a Kalesian tech. No signatures. No heat trails. No drones picked up the shooters. It was like the bullets came from nowhere. Valen stormed into the command tent moments later. Status? 3 officers down. Minor injuries. Internal chaos. No visual confirmation of enemy presence. Valen's jaw clenched. Impossible. The field is clear. Reed, watching from orbit-linked optics, chuckled. They're scattering. Rourke didn't smile. She switched channels and sent a silent packet through a stolen council frequency, an encrypted burst that translated to one simple phrase. You're not alone. In the council war room, the response was instant. Cut the drill, snapped a Vernari general. Evacuate the ridge. There's hostile interference. Quill, Earth's ambassador, stayed silent. He recognized the exact tone. Not fury, fear. Real fear. Because for the first time, the galactic elite couldn't control the field. 8 drones darted around the room, relaying conflicting reports. Teams scrambled for logs, recordings, anything. But there was nothing to review. No footage of shooters. No traceable rounds. Only blood on the sand and silence on the wind. Back at base, Elena checked the rifle's chamber and cleaned the bolt with methodical precision. She didn't speak until the team had regrouped, gear packed and systems dark. Saito finally broke the silence. All 3 hits confirmed. No system alerts. Torres nodded. They're rattled. Communications are bouncing. Someone just flagged a council-wide breach alert. Let them, Rourke said. She dropped a small metal coin onto the table, silver, etched with Earth's unit crest. A ghost's calling card. She slid it across the table to Torres. Plant that on the ridge before exfil. Reed raised a brow. Let them find it? Exactly. On the edge of council territory, a Kalesian recovery unit stumbled upon it 2 hours later. The coin glinted in the sun. No other evidence. No footprints. No heat. Just a message from the invisible. Valen received the image shortly after. He stared at it for a long time. Black Needle, he said aloud. His aide flinched. The Earth unit? They're not an observation team, Valen said coldly. They're a scalpel. And someone just handed them the map. That night, Elena stood alone on the cruiser deck, the planet a blue swirl below. She didn't wear her uniform. Just a thermal vest and gloves, rifle disassembled at her feet. Torres joined her, silent for a long moment. You ever think we went too far? He asked. Rourke didn't look at him. No. They'll retaliate. They'll spin this as terrorism. They laughed when they let us in the door. she said, voice low. They forgot who we are. We're not conquerors. We're reminders. Torres sighed. Reminders with good aim. Rourke picked up the rifle bolt and slid it into place with a soft click. No sound, she said. Just death. Council command scrambled like ants in a kick nest. Ships realigned orbit, tactical feeds rebooted, and war drills were suspended without explanation. Publicly, it was a safety exercise. Internally, the chatter was frantic. High Commander Tsar Valen stood before a wall of flickering data streams, fists clenched behind his back. Officer injuries. Targeted strikes. No confirmed visuals. Only Earth's recon team anywhere near the zone, and their weapons had been secured. Valen knew better. He'd served too long to believe in coincidence. They were never observers, he muttered. His aide blinked. Sir? They were bait. Inside Earth's cruiser, the briefing room was lit only by the glow of topographic holograms. Rourke and her team circled the projection of the Council broadcast tower, an obsidian spike rising from the sand, its signal reach spanning 5 sectors. They'll use it tonight, Saito said, tapping a corner of the map. Live feed from Valen. He's going to spin the chaos. Frame it. Maybe blame pirates. Rourke's eyes narrowed. He'll spin it to make us look weak. Or worse, irrelevant, Torres added. Not after tonight. Mission parameters were precise. Infiltrate the outer broadcast perimeter. Disable its signal relay for exactly 17 seconds, just long enough to hijack the feed. No explosions. No casualties. Just a voice in the dark. A whisper into a galaxy full of ears. They suited up in silence. No war paint. No chest-beating armor. Just sleek camo mesh and analog tools. Saito carried the override shard, a chip loaded with one custom message, crafted by Rourke herself. You sure about the line? He asked, voice quiet. Rourke nodded. They'll remember it. The approach to the tower was downhill, literally and tactically. Surveillance drones swam through the air in lazy arcs, eyes wide but blind to subtlety. The team split into pairs. Rourke and Torres flanked left through a dry gully. Reed and Saito looped wide around a collapsed ridge. Every move practiced, every step counted. Rourke's pulse remained steady. Not calm, just focused. A Yervax sentry strolled within 10 meters, eyes fixed on his console. Never saw Torres plant the signal scrambler in the dust behind him. At 0200 hours, the tower lights dimmed. Not completely. Just a flicker. Like a breath held. Line open, Saito whispered. Now. Rourke activated the chip. The Council broadcast, mid-propaganda stream about unified peace efforts. Glitched. The feed cracked. Then replaced. The screen went black. Then. You trained for show. We trained for war. You measure worth by volume. We measure by consequence. You laughed when we entered your house. Now ask yourself, why do your lights keep going out? Then silence. 7 seconds later, the original feed resumed, jittery, confused, voices overlapping. No one acknowledged the hack. But every commander heard it. Every citizen. Every enemy. Every ally. Valen slammed his hand into the console, shattering a side panel. Trace it, he barked. Backtrack that signal. They used our own relay. His aide stammered. Untraceable. No breach logs. Like they were already in the system. Valen's breath hissed through gritted teeth. They want fear. Then what do we do? Valen's eyes narrowed. We give them a reason to be afraid. 20 minutes later, a hunter-killer unit was deployed. 17 elites, armed with biosensors, heat trackers, and terrain scanning gear, every surveillance tool the Council could field. Their target, Black Needle. They'll come hard, Rourke said as the team relocated to fallback nests. They won't make the mistake of underestimating us again. They'll try to erase us, Torres replied. No names. No record. Then we leave something they can't delete. She pulled a metal plate from her satchel, burnished steel etched with the names of every Earth soldier lost during the Valon incident. She embedded it in the wall of an abandoned Council relay outpost, under a piece of fractured glass. A ghost's gravestone. The Hunter unit arrived by dawn, tracking signatures that no longer existed. Rourke had looped their exit signals, creating echoes in the rocks. The Yervacs tracked shadows while Black Needle moved 3 ridges west. At sunrise, the Council team found the steel plate. They read the names. Then the message etched beneath. "We saw you leave them behind." "We didn't." On the Council floor that afternoon, Valen sat before a tribunal of his peers, not to be questioned, but to explain. "You've failed to control one species," a Chaosian moderator stated. Valen's tone was cold. "They don't seek control. They seek recognition. And you gave it to them?" "No," Valen replied. "They took it." Back on Earth's cruiser, Rourke stood before a wall of flickering messages, some encrypted, others open. Analysts were dissecting the sniper hits. Civilian chatter had exploded. Hashtags, visual memes, speculations about the black ghosts. Conspiracies. Admiration. Fear. She shut the wall off. "Read," she said. "Next phase?" He slid a data chip across the table. "Interference packets. Enough to scramble their orbital drills for 72 hours. And the Deku transmissions?" Saito smirked. "Running now. According to Council reports, we're still 30 clicks southeast." Torres leaned back. "So, what now?" Rourke didn't answer at first. She walked to the viewport and looked down at Arkelis. The capital world glittered, full of arrogance and ceremony. "We vanish," she said. "After all this? No flags. No declarations. No parades," she said. "We made our point. Let them fear the silence." And so they did. By dusk, Earth's cruiser was gone, no departure logs filed, no exit trail. Just a single coin left on the command balcony of the Council Hall. No one saw who placed it. But everyone recognized what it meant. The ghosts had come. And they left only a question. Where will they haunt next? The desert felt unnatural. Not for its silence, but for its anticipation. It was the stillness before something irreversible. At the center of the Council's forward command stood High Commander Tsar Valen's personal dreadnought, the Unbroken Will. An armored colossus rising from the valley floor like a temple built for war. Its shield arrays pulsed faint blue. Its central tower shimmered under full spectral cloaking. To most sensors, it didn't even exist. But to Rourke, lying flat atop a granite bluff 4 kilometers away, it was the only thing that did. "This is it," she said, eyes locked through the scope. "No drills. No warnings. We finish it here." Torres lay beside her, spotting scope steady. "Winds clean. Light cross breeze at 0.5 meters per. No thermal drift." Reed and Saito were staged on orbital relay, patching through calculations via tight beam pulse. No uplinks. No digital trails. The kind of primitive stealth no advanced system expected. The target wasn't Valen himself, not yet. It was the Dreadnought's central shield core. A fusion-stabilized cylinder protected behind 6 meters of reinforced alloy. But during landing, it vented heat for exactly 7 seconds. Just enough. "Marking sequence window," Saito buzzed in. 20 seconds until shield bleed. You'll get one shot. After that, the vent seals and reboots." "Copy," Rourke replied. She pulled in a breath. Not for calm. For memory. Valon 4 had smelled like burnt plastic and antiseptic. Her brother had been posted in a field clinic, volunteer unit unarmed. Council forces had withdrawn early, citing unforeseen escalation. What followed wasn't escalation. It was abandonment. The medics died screaming. The Council called it strategic repositioning. Rourke called it a debt. "Target lock confirmed," Torres said, tone flat. "Adjust 0.3 mils right," Reed instructed. "Elevation down 2 ticks." She adjusted. Her fingers didn't tremble. 10 seconds. A whisper in her earpiece. Venting initiated. The alloy plates slid open, heat shimmer rolling off the core like liquid air. For a heartbeat, the dreadnought bled light. She squeezed. The shot sang. A bullet, cold-forged, tungsten cord, spun downrange with brutal grace. 4 kilometers, 6.3 seconds in flight. No tracer. No heat. No path to follow. Just pure kinetic promise. Rourke exhaled as it vanished into sky. And waited. 1, 2, 3. Impact, Saito confirmed. The mountain rumbled. A sharp pop echoed, not loud, but deep, like something tearing from within. Blue shimmer snapped across the dreadnought's shield dome before imploding inwards. Smoke spiraled out from the tower's base. Then came the silence. Then the alarms. Inside the unbroken will, Valen stood frozen as the deck tilted. Emergency klaxons wailed. Systems cycled down in cascading failure. He didn't bark orders. He knew. From where? His chief engineer gasped. Valen closed his eyes. Farther than you can reach. The ship groaned. Backup systems sputtered to life, but not fast enough to prevent the broadcast leak. Across dozens of council channels, the feed flickered, an accidental, silent image, Earth's sniper coin embedded in the shielding wall, half melted from impact, still visible through the breach. No words. Just the mark. Rourke didn't watch the blast. She already knew. Torres lowered his scope. We need to move. She nodded once. Extraction in 90. Ghost Path 4. They slid from their perch, rifles packed, footprints erased before they formed. No cheers. No celebration. Just departure. Back aboard Earth's cruiser, the crew operated in near dark. Celebratory lights were forbidden. No comms to Earth. No boasting. Only encrypted logs. They knew better than to gloat. Victory shouted from rooftops earned enemies. Victory whispered in shadows? That changed equations. Saito replayed the final moments of the tower feed. We're going to be legends. No, Rourke said. Legends get remembered. We get noticed. Torres leaned against the bulkhead. That's enough. Valen sat alone in a recovery capsule, skin cracked from the feedback burn, his pride more scorched than his armor. Medics swarmed outside the pod, too afraid to speak. He stared at the ceiling. The words played again in his mind unbidden. We trained for war. He'd underestimated them. Not just their ability, but their restraint. They could have taken his head. Instead, they took his throne. And left him alive to explain it. 3 days later, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Tensions cracked between factions. Accusations flew. Reports were sealed. Records were scrubbed. But the footage leaked anyway. Across the outer colonies, human recruits doubled. Volunteers quoted the sniper's creed. Council worlds began investing in low-tech countermeasures. The Empire had seen the future, and it bled from one bullet. Back in Earth's private war archive, Rourke stood before a case, her rifle, polished, sealed behind transparent alloy. She didn't smile. Just nodded. A whisper of bootsteps behind her. Command wants to promote you, Torres said. I said no. He leaned on the doorframe. They don't like no dot. They like being feared, she replied. Now they are. Torres tilted his head. And us? We're ghosts, she said. We haunt until we're needed again. She turned, walked past him, and didn't look back. Far across the stars, on another council world, a young soldier watched the grainy feed of the unbroken will's shields failing. His superior leaned in, voice hushed. Don't believe everything you see. The recruit didn't blink. I don't. He paused the footage on the sniper's mark. That single coin, half melted, unmistakable. I believe what they felt.